All right, welcome to our webinar. Thank you so much for joining. I know this will be one of the largest open virtual event in the history of open. I have no doubt about it, but we are so honored to have Syed Babar Ali to be our chief speaker for the meeting today. And we will love to hear from everyone. Please, you can ask those questions, but the next hour we want to dedicate to Babar Saab to share his wisdom, his experience, his journey, and everything. With a quick note on obviously Open Global, I don't need to explain what Open is because everybody here is mostly all Open members, so I'm not going to spend any time on that. But I would love for you to make sure that you spread the word out of what Open is doing in different instances. In different countries, we have 16 chapters now, and all over the world, we have about 700 members now, plus, and we are growing very fast. So please spread the word, join, engage, do your chapters events. As you know, probably in the next 6 weeks, you have 7 major events happening in around the world on the Open platform, which we will share that also at the end of the day. Please join that. But today, I just want to make one more appeal. And I think this is, again, a very non-orthodox. We have never done this on the Open Forum, and I want to make this a very personal appeal. I want to make an appeal for somebody who is very near to our Open community. He is a charter member from Open Toronto. His name is Nadeem Hashmi. He was a very engaged and very dedicated Open charter member. Obviously, we as Open do not do any kind of fundraisings, and we will not. But what I really felt very strong, very personal about it, when I heard his story, that he obviously, some of you may know, he suffered a sports injury which damaged his brain. He went through 3 surgeries. He's on the bed for almost a year now, with almost unconscious. His family is struggling really hard. He's a LUMS graduate, very, very, very good person, very engaged in the community, very loyal to Open. And I felt very personal to say, if you guys please think about if you can help him out. There's a GoFundMe link that somebody's going to be posting it on the chat also. This is one of us. It could be anybody. It was just like he had a good life. He has a family. He has 2 kids, young kids. His wife is a doctor, but she has given up everything, 14 to 16 hours, just taking care of him because he's been unconscious, but she has not lost any hope, and she's trying, and she needs our help. This family needs our help. The last message I just want to share, and those things were touched me a little bit. The last message from him went to his ex-president of Open, where he said, I am dedicating myself to create an Open global charter member app so we can do that and connect others. This is the kind of a person he was. Now, please, when he needs the help, as a community, we should come together. Again, not an Open organization appeal here. This was a personal appeal. I felt very touched by the story that it is that family needs us. So please do that. The link will be on this. I'm not gonna. You can do that directly in the GoFundMe. We are not collecting any money. We're just gonna let this thing, and we'll hope that the family and Nadeem will get recovered fully, 100% back, and get his normal life. So without any other ado, I just want Tariq, please go take it from here, and let's start the program.
Thank you, Abu. First of all, I like to thank Abu also for his unconditional leadership. As everyone knows, this is a volunteer job, and being a global president is not easy. Abu, thank you so much for everything that you're putting into this and making every chapter stronger and better. And I also pray for Nadeem. I think we as a community, Open community, on a personal level, we can definitely support and help him out, and we will continue that appeal. I want to thank all Open Charter members who are joining us from around the world. This is wonderful. We have such a large audience. I've spent last 30 plus years of my career interacting and learning from global leaders, both in a senior executive positions at Fortune company and as an entrepreneur for the last 15 years. I'm a clinical professor of marketing and leadership at New York University, and for the last 18 years, I've been with New York University. I interact with our next generation leaders. I have had the opportunity to meet many leaders, including 4 US presidents. By the way, that should not be a criteria of leadership. But very few leaders have impressed me as much as our guest today. I am very honored and thankful that we got an opportunity to have our guest with us. So let's just spend most of time talking to him and learning from him, who truly epitomize the leadership role better than most we know. Last month, I was in Pakistan. I had an opportunity to meet Babar Saab, and I want to give a special thank to Haider Ali, who's a friend and son of Babar Saab, that he really arranged that meeting, so quickly. And I flew from Karachi to Lahore, and Babar Saab so gracious that he gave me his precious time. I think a leader is known by the size of his introduction. The longer the introduction, the more improvement is needed. So I would introduce our next speaker in 3 words, Syed Babar Ali. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us. And we are truly honored. So today, what I wanted to do is I want to spend time in 2 aspects of your leadership. One is obviously you're a great leader, business commercial leader. And the second part, which is more important to most of us, is the servant leadership, giving back. So thanks for your time. And let's just start with the business leader and the entrepreneur. Leadership always starts with a vision. And you created some of the greatest name of the companies, including Packages Group, Milkpak, Nestle Pakistan, Hoechst, Tetrapak, IGI Insurance, all these companies. And what really strike me amazingly is, when foreign companies are leaving Pakistan, you brought some of these huge conglomerates to Pakistan. And last week when I was in Pakistan, we were talking to a lot of leaders, and Zanji Vanji, who's a mutual friend, he's in Morocco right now joining us as well, talked about it, that, how critical you played a role in building some of these large organizations. So we would love to hear from you the challenges and how you turned those challenges into opportunities through your leadership journey.
Well, I mean, I don't get too much credit to myself on this thing, but I mean, I owe it to the family. The family was fairly well established at the time of partition. When I came back from America at the end of 1947, I happened to be studying at the University of Michigan during partition. So I came back at the end of 47, and I started work in early 1948. And one of my earliest opportunities was to seek out collaboration with a company that was supplying packaging material to the, soon after partition, many of the companies that existed in India set up their satellite companies in Pakistan, like the tobacco company, which was part of the British American Tobacco Company, Unilever and others. And they were getting all their packaging material from Sweden, because soon after the war, you see, Europe was in a bad shape, except for countries like Sweden, which stayed out of the war. So I got a suggestion from a friend who worked for the tobacco company, that why don't you go to Sweden to talk to the people who are supplying packaging material, which I did. And I suggested to them that instead of sending packaging material from Sweden to Pakistan, why don't you set up a plant in Pakistan to supply to packaging material? And that is my sort of initial foray into industry. And luckily, this company was owned by a very enterprising family called the Rousing family, which today own Tetrapak. And I was only 25 years old at that time, so they took me under their wings and they said, we'll help you set it up. And so we provided the local facilities, the local capital, and they provided the know-how. And that is the start of my sort of interacting with a foreign company, which had a very progressive and a very advanced knowledge about that particular industry, and that was packaging. And as it went along, the company in Pakistan was a success. It came to the notice of the banks. It came to the notice of the accounting companies, because when any foreigner wants to have a look at, came to look at Pakistan and to see if there was an opportunity, they first went to the banks and then went to the auditing companies, and they were the ones that introduced us. And so this is how we developed a relationship with these companies, and also our attitude right from the beginning was to respect the foreign partner and to treat them the way we would wish them to treat us. So it was a sort of a mutual respect for each other, and the entire basis of collaboration is one of ethics and integrity and openness. There was a total confidence and trust in each other, and that is how we were able to build up this relationship with companies from Mitsubishi from Japan, and Tetrapak, of course, was from Sweden, and then Hoechst from France, Siemens from Germany, and so this is how the whole thing developed, and then later on, some years later, Coca-Cola from the United States. So we were fortunate enough to have a relationship with these companies, and of course there was Hoechst from Germany, which finally ended up in Sanofi as a pharmaceutical company. So we were partners with the French, with the British, with the Americans, with the Germans and Japanese. So it was, and Swedish, of course. So it was a good journey, and there were some separations in the sense that they decided to either move out or sell out to other companies abroad. But we've not had a single divorce. It was a very friendly sort of separation with companies like Bayer, and there was a company called, they were in the thread business, and it was a Scottish company. So we, it was a wonderful journey, but from our side, it was not a one-man show. We were able to build up a cadre of young men and women based on competence and based on merit. There were no relatives, very few relatives in the company, hardly. I mean, my son came in after 17 years of studies and work in America. So the top position in our company were not reserved for any family members. They were available to anybody in the organization who had the merit and the competence and the integrity. And we placed a great deal of emphasis on ethics and the conduct of the individual. And that is how, I mean, God has been very kind, so we can't thank Allah enough for the opportunity that they gave us to develop business and to develop individuals. Another very interesting thing has happened over the years, because the company is very, very mature. I mean, it was set up in 1955, so it's almost 70 years old. And I've had a continuous contact with that company, except for 5 years when I was away in the public sector during Mr. Bhutto's time, that each one of the individuals who worked with us did better than his father, and then every individual that worked with us, their children are doing better than themselves because they've had much better education. They've gone abroad, they've worked abroad, some settled abroad, some have come back and started their own business. So it's been a very wonderful journey to collaborate, interact, and work, and kept contact with people who have worked with you. Anybody who worked with us and left us, I thought we always considered them as a member of our family, and we never sort of held any sentiment against them if they left us. We wished them well, and we maintained good relationship. Even some of them went and worked for our competition, and and even some of them started companies to compete with us, and we still maintain very good relations with them. So there's enough of opportunity in Pakistan for people to thrive, to prosper, and to make a good life. So God has been very kind. So we've never been envious of anybody who either worked with us or anybody who was competing with us. We've tried to maintain very good relations with them. So that has been sort of the foundation and the fundamentals of how we have worked and developed. And so I've personally spent a lot of time with the people who've joined us at a junior point to mentor them, to give them an opportunity to work with our partners abroad, to learn from them, and then they come back and they've helped the company grow. So the success of our group is really the credit goes to all the people who have worked in it. I'm just a conductor who doesn't make any music himself. He is just there, sort of participating and enjoying the effort that others have made, and I'm very thankful for this opportunity.
Yeah, and that's a true traces of a leader, that he or she always credit his people, which you are doing. The question that I have before I move on to the philanthropic side of your leadership, very important, is that I had the opportunity to get a signed book by you, and I read that book. So what I want to learn, and when you're doing this, many people who come from financially, stable families at age 25, they feel more entitled and do things while you were focusing on the business. But one thing that really impressed me, and probably today's entrepreneur who are looking for venture capitalist and investment, other companies, you had all these foreign conglomerates to invest in Pakistan for the infrastructure. Initially, they were hesitant. How did you negotiate, or how did you convince them that they have to invest to create this infrastructure that you wanted?
Well, I mean, it was their basic decision to come to Pakistan. And we wanted to make sure that once they had taken the basic decision, we provide them all the local support and know-how and local capital, local contacts, so that the joint venture would be a success. So that is, of course, it's a basic decision on the part of these companies, because they have global kind of ambitions, and one of the attractive part of Pakistan has been its large population. I mean, even 50 years ago, we were over 100 million people, and today we are 250 million people, and there are very few countries in the world that have that kind of a population. And so people in the consumer good industry, like Unilever and the pharmaceutical companies, and they really want to be where the future consumers are going to be. But one company which I'd like to sort of spend a few minutes on is systems. And this is the software company that Azaz Hussain and I set up way back almost 40 years ago. Azaz was working with me in the fertilizer corporation when I was in the public sector. He was our planning officer there, and because he had an IBM background, I thought he knew a lot about computers. So when I came out, completed my assignment with the government, I asked Azaz, would he come and we embark on a new journey and to set up this company in the software industry. And I said, I'll provide you with whatever capital is required. I mean, he put in his own savings. I put in the rest of the money, and I said, I'll give you the first customer, and that was packages. And I made it clear to him, and he thoroughly agreed. I said, this company has to be owned by people who are working in it, because the real asset is the brain power. There is no hardware in this company other than a few computers or other side. And you'll be very happy to know that systems today has about over 5,000 people working for them in Pakistan and about 3,000 people around the world. They have about 1,000 people working for them in the United States. They have a subsidiary or a sister company that is working in elsewhere in Asia, in Singapore, in India, in this thing. But the most satisfying part is that today they have at least 30 people who are millionaires in dollars, who came from lower middle class family, and over the years of their association with this company, they have done extremely well. And there are at least 50 Pakistanis who are crorepati's working in Pakistan. So that to me has been a very rewarding and a very satisfying industry. I started with a ownership of over 70% in systems, and today I own less than 2%. And I'm still very happy that the company's done so well. So this is something that it should be emulated by many other people in Pakistan, is to give opportunity and equity to people who build up. I mean, of course, you in Open are doing that all the time, but in Pakistan, it's not a very common practice. So I thought I'd share this story about systems with you, and you can look it up in on the internet, the success. And Azaz Hussain, who today is the chairman of the company and should be given full credit for what they have done.
Yes, of course. There are many open charter members who are a part of the company. One of our friends, Faisal Jedi, recently moved to Lahore from Silicon Valley. So that is a great example. And I think one of the greatest contribution that you have is, incubating many of these companies. And I'm going to transition now. And before I do the transition, I want everybody to know that I will dedicate at least last 20 minutes of this conversation for Q&A. So please, if you have any question, put down in the question session, the chat, and keep your question short, and just also identify what part of the world are you asking this question from. So Babar Sahab, let's come to...
Tariq, can I just make one comment, because Babar Ali mentioned system side. So just so you know, Babar Sahab, the seed that you bought in like 25, 30 years ago, systems and VisionNet systems that are US-based are one of our very good sponsors for Open for many events. So you guys are not just set up the company, but then you're also doing the give back. So shout out to VisionNet and systems people who are sponsoring us on many events.
Great. Thanks, Abu. Yes. So Babar Sahab, let's do the transition. And one of my favorite one is obviously LUMS. Pakistan being such a large country, we were very limited when it came to the academic representation globally. And LUMS is one of the finest institutions. Your passion for education is not a secret. So let's share with us that what really motivated you to get involved and created LUMS. And then we will talk about, more importantly, the other schools like Ali schools and schools in Qusur and all over Pakistan that you're creating. But let's start with LUMS first, and then we will transition.
No, I had the good fortune to attend the advanced management program at the Harvard Business School in 1973. And I had already been, managing director and managing packages. I thought I knew a hell of a lot. But when I went to this program, I found out we were about 150 people there, broken up into two groups of 75 each. I found out that they came with equal, rich background and experience. But, when you got into the classroom, they cut you down to size, and there was so much to be learned from, not only from the professors who were directing the program, but also from each other, because they came from different backgrounds. Almost 80% of the students, of the participants there, were from America, and of the 80%, about 20% were from the American armed services, from the American Navy, Marine, Air Force, Navy. So there was a lot of learning from, and because we were living on the campus, it was a 24-hour interaction with your classmates. So I thought that there was something that improved one's thinking. You learned from each other. And when I came back, I felt that Pakistan needed this kind of an effort to set up a school equivalent, something like the Harvard Business School. And I sought out people who would be interested in this kind of a venture, because you can't embark on a journey like this all by myself. And I was happy to find people like Razak Daud, who was at that time managing director of Daw's Hercules, and Dr. Parvez Hassan, who was a lawyer, fresh from Yale and Harvard. So I said, let's put our heads together to see how we can go about. And then I went back to the Harvard Business School, and I sought help from the dean. And he said, Harvard as an institution cannot collaborate, but if any of the faculty there is willing to help you, he will not stand in their way. So we were able to get 2 or 3 very seasoned, dedicated faculty like Lou Wells and Jim Austin and John Quelch. They helped us sort of set up the foundation of this. We started off as a business school, and then of course the issue was to get a charter so that we could have independent constitution and not being interfered by government authorities. And luckily, I was able to get a good contact with General Ziaul Haq. He was then the president, and I went to see him because he wanted me to be a part of his government, which I, declined. But he didn't hold that against me, and I said I want to set up the business school, and all I want is a charter, and I want a concession from the fact that anybody who gave us money could write it off as an expense. And the third item was the president of Pakistan would be the chairperson. He said, "Do you want any money?" I said, "No." "You want any land?" I said, "No. We'll raise everything ourselves." And this is how LUMS got started. And I must give credit to the few, there were very few Pakistanis who were, some of you are familiar with case method of learning. And we decided at the very beginning that we would have the case method of teaching. And that meant that we had to hire faculty who could teach by the case method. And we were able to identify a few people who were teaching in American universities, Pakistanis, and brought them over. And we were able to hire a couple of foreigners also, one Canadian and one Swede, who could teach in that method. And so that's how we started. And then luckily also we give credit to young men and women who offered to join this business school, which had no track record at all. But because of our presence in Lahore, and kind of people knew about Razak and myself and Parvez Hassan, so we were able to get some good youngsters, men and women, to come in at the school. And they, when they went out a couple of years later, they created a brand, because the employers then saw that the quality of the people that we had graduated, they had never seen before. And that is what sort of snowballed and developed LUMS into a good business school. And then, of course, we had a good fortune of getting a $10 million grant from US aid, because this was the time that the Russians had invaded Afghanistan. And I went to the American ambassador at that time and I said, "Is education a part of your program? And he said, why not? So then I went to our own government, because you can't access foreign money unless you had support of your own government. And they put in a condition. They said, for every dollar that you get from the Americans, you'll have to raise $1 yourself. So we were able to do that, and that is how LUMS has now developed into a full-scale university. We were able to build up the campus, and of course, we were able to get good donations from these people that we had worked with in our business, and some of us, contributed ourselves also. So LUMS has been a story of collective contribution by the business community and foreign investors in Pakistan. And we are very fortunate that, and of course, as time went on, we were able to attract good faculty. And now almost 20% of the faculty that we have are the students who graduated from LUMS, went abroad, and got higher degrees from top universities of the world. And as you know, today, LUMS graduates are working in top companies in the United States. We have over 3,000 LUMS graduates working in companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, in Wall Street, in Silicon Valley. We have over 500 people of our graduates working in Canada. So, and about 1,000 in Europe, all the way from Alaska to New Zealand. So, by the grace of God, it's, as you know, the quality of our students has done very well. So we're very fortunate that we've had that opportunity to make the small contribution to upgrade the skill of our people in Pakistan.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. All Pakistanis and even non-Pakistanis will remain indebted to you for the institution that you have created and the pipeline of the next generation leaders that you have created. And one of the follow-up questions that I had, and I talked to you briefly about that as well, and one of our charter member from Chicago, my friend Amir Chalisa, asked the same question. As we know that nearly 65% of Pakistan population is under the age of 30, and that is our biggest asset. But they need the guidance, and Open wants to play a role as well in helping them. But you had a vision starting from the school that you have in Qasur, and when you and I were talking about it, I said, what is an actionable item we can do for you as Open, because we have 500 plus charter members all over the world. So what is your vision today that you see? How can we transfer or convert or transform these youth into future leaders?
Yeah, you see, I mean, you know better than I do, and you've seen it happen time and again, that the only way that you can open any door in the world is through better education. And so what we need in Pakistan today is to improve the quality of education at all levels, right? Starting from primary to secondary to tertiary to university education. And unfortunately, the government has totally neglected education as an important element in the development of the country. The amount of money that they've allocated is less than 2% of our GDP, and even that 2% is very, spent in a very callous way, that there is no merit in the selection or training of teachers. And if you don't have a good teacher, you can't have a good student. So my plea to an organization like Open is that you support, create an endowment scholarship fund, and pick and select institutes in Pakistan that provide good education at the school level, at the college level, at the university level, and have a very competent group to give out scholarships. I mean, the Americans are doing it in the Fulbright scholarship program here in Pakistan, and that is being run very efficiently and very entirely on merit. So, I mean, I can participate in this kind of this thing, and we have good institutions like NUST, like ComSat, and schools like the Crescent School. You have Hoechst College, where today only the rich can send their kids, but the idea is really to select good students from lower middle class family, and you need to nurture and provide opportunity to people from the lower middle class to get good education, because these are the people who will ultimately go into politics to run the country. And it's a long term, it's a 20-year program, but an organization like Open is going to be there for more than 20 years, I hope. And so you need to invest in the future generation by creating such opportunity for young men and women who have the talent but do not have the resources to get good and quality education. And once this is known that there is such, there is fair amount of money available for good education, the good institutions will come up. I mean, the TFC have done a good job, but they are in the numbers game. They want to have 2,000 schools. But what you need to tell TFC, and I keep on telling them because they're very good friends of mine, spend more time on improving the quality of teaching in your schools. Just don't go after numbers. And this is what we did at LUMS. I mean, of the 22,000 students that have graduated from LUMS, I can tell you not one was admitted on basis other than on merit. So it can be done. You need that focus, you need that dedication, you need that passion to give time. Money is important, but not that important. The more important thing is finding people who would give time and who would try and help run such organizations on a voluntary basis. And there are many people who are available today.
Right.
I mean, I'm talking to people who are retired from government service. They are offering their services to mentor such young people and to interact with such organizations.
Yes, thank you so much for the tip, and we will ensure that we bring this in open global meeting, and the board decides to create some kind of endowment or maybe a partnership with infrastructure you already have, even at a school level. So you have a wonderful school at Qasur. How can open members go there?
I mean, as far as our own organizations are concerned, by the grace of God, we are fully funded and sufficient. We don't want any money. All we want is good ideas. But there are a number of schools that will need kind of financial support, not for just brick and mortar, but for scholarship funds for boys and girls to be able to get education in quality schools.
I know you have stayed successful without being political, and we'll keep it that way. But I think you have some great insights. Most of us who live outside Pakistan, we are in a conundrum that how a country of this size are not able to produce leaders. In your opinion, and once again, I clarify without being political, what do you think is the real solution to see a better Pakistan? And what can we do sitting outside Pakistan, our role in making that Pakistan? Because we have virtually given up on the governments. But what can private sector do or people outside Pakistan?
Well, my own feeling is that keep on investing in good education, and especially with the lower middle class and with the people who come from lower middle class or even from the bottom of the pyramid. These are the people who are going to be the future, should be the future leaders of the country. And I tell you what has happened in the last 1 year in the election. You know, the youth have spoken. But you know, the elections were not a true. The result of the election was not a true reflection of the voting, and there is a lot of anger among the people as a result that they had given their verdict and it was not heard. So this will, you've seen what's happened in Bangladesh. You've seen what's happened in India. Even a person like Modi, I mean, his foundations have been shaken up. It will happen here also one day. But the idea is really, what I would invest is in good quality education to the lower middle class people. And it's a long-term thing. It won't happen in, maybe it happened in your lifetime, and certainly not in my lifetime. But we can't give it up. We have 250 million people, and they can't be ignored. They can't be put aside. They will assert their right sooner or later. And so you have to have faith in the future of the country. I mean, I keep on telling my people that the opportunity that we have in Pakistan, we'll never get that opportunity anywhere else. Above all, we belong to this country. I mean, I don't want to be facetious. You people are very successful, but you might get a passport, but you can't be Americans. I mean, you can't take Pakistan out of your system. It's a part of your DNA, and your biggest challenge is to ensure that your kids remain sympathetic towards Pakistan. Yes. And the one way of doing it is bring them here as often as possible. We at LUMS are running a summer program for expatriate children to expose them to local history, local culture, local language, local music. So that is, and I hope it can be expanded to other institutions also, so that boys and girls who are studying abroad, who are living abroad, who are foreign citizens but of Pakistan origin, they have this linkage and a love for this country. It will happen. You have to work towards it. And my strong plea to members of Open is that invest in your children. That is very important. You know, what we call here in our language, talim se tarbiyat zyada zaruri hai. Give time to them and give them values which you inherited from your parents, and values which are based on ethics, on equity, on kindness, on giving. Giving is something which is a part of our DNA of the Muslims. I mean, you read the Quran, and all the time it is emphasizing that whatever God has given you, you share it with your relatives, share it with the poor, zakat do. And because God is telling you that you'll never run out of money if you give away. And I've seen it time and again that you never get poor by giving. And many of your members, by the grace of God, are in a position to give, but give it not as a charity, give it as something which is sustainable, where people can, help them get on their feet, not something that they can blow away, but give them in the form of good education, good opportunity to learn, to travel, to be able to participate in in good education.
Right. Got it.
And I've seen that happening all the time.
Yeah. So I want to be sensitive of your time as well and respect that. And truly, I think Pakistan is like our mother, and not our children are not only the one that live with us, but those children in Pakistan as well. Our charter members, Zanji Vanji, myself, and Amir Chalisa, we were visiting Pakistan Educational Institution. So now I would like to dedicate to the question and answer. And my request to you is, obviously we have a lot of questions. So I'm going to ask short questions so we can get as many answers from you as possible. So the first question comes from Mashood from California. And Mashood is asking that leadership is influence. Can you give some tips on the best way you have used to influence people?
Well, one is by example. I mean, you act what you say. I mean, there should be no, there should be no dichotomy that you say one thing and you do another thing. Your action should be in line with what you talk about, and I think that is something that is very easy to do. I mean, if you are truthful to yourself.
True, wonderful. Amir Chalisa's question I already asked, and you. There is an anonymous attendee who's asking that we are waiting for a carbon copy of LUMS in Karachi. They want to replicate what LUMS is in Karachi.
I mean, Habib is doing a very good job.
Yes.
And time and again, people have come to me and to my associates that we should have another location. But my own feeling is that if you do a good job at LUMS itself, and that is and act as an example for others to follow. I mean, you can't have Harvard in 5 different towns. It can only be in Boston. So LUMS can only be in Lahore. So we need to make sure that LUMS keep on improving itself and generating and creating new leadership who can go and set up other universities. Yeah. I have played a small role in the setting up of Habib in Karachi, and I'm so happy that they're doing so well.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Zulfi Jafri also said that we want to have more LUMS. Now, the next question comes from Farina Sultan, and she's asking that leadership evolved over time, and what are the driving forces that have impacted this evolution? So over a period of time, the evolution of the leadership. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing is you've got to be consistent. You can't keep on changing your direction. You have to keep on following and delivering and acting and mentoring and in a consistent manner. You can't keep on changing directions, and leadership doesn't mean that you lead everything from the front. And leadership means that you enable others to do a good job. You mentor others, and irrespective of who scores the goal, so long as the team wins. So my idea really is to work with others and give them credit for whatever happens. And you take the blame yourself if anything goes wrong. I think that is one of the key things in somebody who is claiming to be a leader is he should not be claiming any credit to himself. He should give credit to others.
Okay. The next question comes from Samia Fatima from San Francisco. And I kind of agree with her question that universities have become more of a multi-billion-dollar business, and they are creating. So unfortunately, when they graduate with 4 GPA, but they cannot find jobs. So what is the solution for that? I would say entrepreneurship, but I would love to hear from your perspective.
Today in Pakistan, anybody who has a good education, he has every opportunity to get a good job, both in the private sector and in the public sector. I give you an example of somebody who came to see me last month. He's the son of a Jamadar, a junior officer in the army, Subedar in the army. And this boy got into LUMS. He did his uh, law degree at LUMS. And while he was doing law, he enrolled at Punjab University and got his master's in Persian. And at the same time, he took the civil service examination and came 14th in the list and got a job in the Foreign Office. He was not content with that. He applied for Fulbright scholarship, went to Georgetown University, was there for 2 years, came back, and now he's at Stanford doing his master's in law, and still a member of the Foreign Service. So there is, it depends on the individual. And he's got married to another girl from LUMS, who got Fulbright scholarship, and is the daughter of a colonel. A Subedar's son marrying a colonel's daughter. Can you think? It's unthinkable in our society.
Yes.
So, and this is what education does to you.
Yes.
And it's happening all the time. So, I go back to this plea to you is that Open should support Pakistan and support education.
Right.
And there is no limit what you can do to help education. And
Wonderful.
Some of you should come and spend a few months here, and we will take you around and introduce you to the institutions that are doing a job, and you pick and choose whatever you want to back.
Yes. And I have very limited time, so I want to get as many questions as possible. And the secret is also get married to a LUMS graduate. Next question, which we all want to know, comes from Hanzala Khan. Can you please share with us what is the secret of your good health?
Discipline. Eat less, exercise more. Even today I walked, at the age of 98 plus, I walked 2,100 steps today. And my telephone tells me for the whole year, the average is over 2,000 steps a day. So
Wonderful.
It's disciplined life, disciplined diet, exercise, and keep your mind active by talking to people like yourself, talking to the youth. And that, I think, is invaluable to interact with people from whom you can learn. I'm ever thirsty. One of the reasons I jumped at your invitation to be here this evening was I wanted to learn from you people as to how Open was doing. And so there is no limit. Exercise your mind and exercise your body and keep happy.
I totally agree, because the title of your book,
don't be
at this
envious
stage,
or jealous of anybody.
Yeah, your title was Learning from Others, when you can actually, you're the institution yourself. Next question comes from Zulki Khan. And the question is, what is your proudest moment for your life? And what is something that you're not very proud of?
Well, not proud of I've not done enough. I should do more. And proud of is all the people that I've interacted with. I've learned so much from them, and they've given me so much satisfaction. People that one has been able to relate to, mentor, learn from. I can't thank people enough for the regard that they have. The people in your network tonight, they have taken the trouble of interacting with me and to listen to me, and I can't thank them enough, because this is what makes my life, is to be wanted, not for what you have done, but what you learn from people.
Okay, the next question comes from Abu Bakr. A lot of people are disengaged and frustrated. What is your advice to them? They have kind of given up.
Well, in the long run, we are all dead. So don't give it up. While you are here, you have a right to, you have an obligation to be kind to people, help people. I must share with you something that I came across. You've heard of Hazrat Luqman. He's even mentioned in the Quran, so it's more than 1400, almost 1400 years old. And he was giving advice to his son. He said, there are 8 things that I've learned from various prophets. One is, when you are praying, you should concentrate on your prayer. The second is, when you are in a group, you hold your tongue. The third is, when you have an opportunity to visit somebody, be gracious enough to admire other people's success. Don't be jealous. Number 4, when you are eating with somebody, watch your appetite. Number 5, don't remember anything that anybody has done bad to you. Number 6, and don't remember any good turn that you may have done to anybody. Number 7, that there is God in this world. And number 8, there is an end to your life. So if you follow these 8 points, you don't go wrong.
MashaAllah, very good. We cannot get to all the questions, but I want to acknowledge Shahrukh Khan, Shahrukh from Boston. Your question in health was already answered. Arifa Ahmed, she did an internship at Nestle, so she is to be proud of that. That she has, she feels that she has, your impression and her success go together. And Mohammed Rian and Jim, last question is, being a part of Packages Group, what do you think are the biggest challenges Pakistan will be facing in the next 5 to 10 years? I will make that as the last question of the day.
Now, the next question is, we have to, it's a very difficult challenge. I mean, there is so much of undercurrent today that what worries me is that things might blow up. And we have to keep our minds cool and make sure that the country survives. Not on the government, but it's every individual effort is that you work towards helping somebody and making sure that we do not come to a point where everybody is desperate to create problems.
It has been a true honor and a privilege to be with you again. And I have definitely learned, and all of us at Open have been privileged to learn from you. And we hope that, inshallah, we'll be celebrating your 100th birthday very soon, hopefully in person in Pakistan.
Well, I don't know. I mean, every day is a blessing, as I can't thank Allah enough. I'm very grateful to you all for giving me this opportunity, and I wish Open all the success in the future.
Your contributions are limitless, and I want to give it to Abu for closing remarks, but I want to encourage all of Open Charter members to really continue giving back to Pakistan, and also help Nadeem, who's a fellow charter member, and Abu will do the call to action closing. Babar Sahib, it has been a privilege, and I hope to see you soon, inshallah, in person.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tariq, and thank you so much, Babar. I just don't have words to thank you, but thank you for sharing your enlightening journey, and hopefully everybody here is much more inspired than they were an hour ago. I think I have to pick a few things. Your humility is so inspiring and contagious. I mean, in spite of what you have been able to do and accomplish, the impact that you have created for the country, and you have been so humble about it, I think it is so inspiring and contagious. I'm just getting emotional about it. So we really hope that everybody enjoyed the trip. I just want to say one thing from quote that Babar Sahib said: do not give up. Do not give up. This 240 million people deserve better, and we owe it to them because we are fortunate to be called Pakistani, and we are successful, and we owe it to them. So please don't give up. That's the only message I want to give. And then I'm just going to take a moment to just share another what's going on in the next 7 weeks, I think it will be interesting, or it will be good for everybody to know that we just think of as an open organization what we have been able to accomplish and what we were able to do. Just think about it. Yesterday or the day before yesterday, we had an event in New York with Dr. Nabi Sherwani sharing the business opportunities in KSA. Today, we had a great session with Baba Saab. We have an Open London relaunch event on September 29th. We have an Open DC 20-year annual event on October 18th and 19th. We have an annual event at Open Toronto on October 26th. We have an Open Atlanta event in October 26th. We have a November 8th and 9th an Open Silicon Valley annual event. My call to you guys is stay engaged, give what you can, and make sure that you get involved, because we can together do and build a much better community than we are today, and we're going to continue to do. And don't lose hope. We are here, and we're all going to be here for you. And Baba Saab, thank you again.
Thank you.
To see
Thank you.
May Allah bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Khuda Hafiz.
Khuda Hafiz. Thank you, sir. Allah Hafiz.